Testing 1, 2, 3. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, glory, yours, now and forever. And your Son, who took our sin debt in full on the cross at Calvary, with his blood, he cleansed us for all salvation to be with you, our Father in heaven. Jesus Christ, our King. Amen. You want a bowl before I begin, right? I just got to do the, the pledge. Okay? Good. Do the bowl. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry, I've been delayed. I have ongoing server problems. There was a huge storm here, which affected the power, not here, but my wife's office. And I have stuff running on it. So I was delayed because I lost 3 of the servers, and then I lost the RAID 10. Hopefully I can get through. Receiving yeah, this is what the control screen looks like. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. And I just need to check on the status of a job before I begin this. And it's half. Okay. And it's running very slow because it's got a lot of work to do. Okay, go back to my show. Hello. Testing. Testing. Okay. All right. So we have a lot of news to cover. The first one, I want to say we had a spectacular Bible study on Wednesday, and it was at 3 o'clock. I can move it earlier or later. It's only 1 hour, and I'm going to do one chapter a week. And but you miss. I can't even imagine what pain it must have caused God, because I have no idea what that kind of time is that he spent with his son, um, and then seeing him go through what he did in on the earth and everything else, and then suffer like that. Boy, it would have made me beyond angry, but I'm not God, so I don't know anything about that. But you have to worry about today with the news that's going on, and I'm going to fill you in on there's all kinds of stuff. I only know about the Navy side of things. Um, and I also know a little bit about what's going on. And I don't say I have fear. I say I say that I don't believe in the interpretation of the rapture. That doesn't mean that I hope that they are correct. I hope that there is one, and I hope they're correct. I I don't agree with that interpretation. The way I see it, the third coming. That's right, the third coming of Christ. Remember, first Mary born, second resurrection, third. It's pretty clear. Yes, when he comes, we will be immediately transformed, but it's after all the crap hits the fan, essentially. Um, the news. So 24 hours ago, no, be more than that, 40 hours ago, we had special forces. It doesn't matter. It's us, okay? Um, attacked the command center in Crimea for the Soviet fleet, okay? And by doing this, essentially, you're you're really um, backing. I mean, you're backing Russia into a position to which that, and this is big biblical. This is like Ezekiel. I mean, well, I think there's a picture in old Bibles about the way the world was in Jesus's path. Um, at least some. Yeah, yeah. So, I'm going to show this to you. And um, what this is illustrating is, as you know, that a two-step or two state solution for Israel. That's no, that's God has designated that specific patch of land, and so yeah, that's not what you want to do. You want to do what God instructs you to do. Now, by going against that, what does that mean that God won't protect Israel? I'm not going to speak. Not going to go there. I have seen what happens when you go against God's wishes. Ugh, okay. Um, then you have to turn around and say to yourselves after that so-called debate, which you have to understand a few things. Number one, um, Perino or whatever, she's the Clinton. She introduced Hillary Clinton at a award show and ran her praises and everything else. Yeah. No, Fox News is very, 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 very bad now at this point, and you can see the way they slanted everything to the rhinos. Okay, why did I want DeSantis over Trump? Only because of the fact that I think DeSantis would make a better AG personally, but he doesn't set all the lightning rods up. And clearly, Trump won that debate without even being there. Okay, which means I'm not opposed to Trump being a president. That's not. I'm saying that I do not think that he will be president because of the fervor that the deep state and all of the three-letter affiliates of that, and then some, the press, the thing, everything, don't want him. They think they can control DeSantis. They're wrong. That's the reason why I want DeSantis. Happen to know that they can't. So, in a lot of respects, he'll be as good as Trump, maybe better. Okay. After last night, I don't foresee that happening at all. I think that, and then the other thing is that so they think they have it in the bag because of the 15, 16 million that they've. I don't think that they believe that now. So obviously, it's not going to be Biden. It's going to be gruesome and witless. But the point is that I think that they're going to pull out their other plans, which is war. And there's a crisis. We have to, just like they did in the Ukraine, well, we can't have elections. We're at war. Meanwhile, during World War II, we had elections. Um, and then all these able-bodied young men of all different types and nationalities, 19 to 25, 27 year olds were coming across, not to mention unknown how many terrorists and everything else. So they obviously the Democrats feel that number one, a shutdown is good, and I'm going to blame the Republicans for that too. They had all this time, and yet again, it comes down to the last minutes. First of all, a CR is, and it should have been, it's unconstitutional. Not what the Constitution says. So this whole shenanigans game is just insane. You want another one? You want another one? You gonna say hi to your fans? You gonna say hi? You want to say hi? You're so cute. Yes, I know. Okay, go ahead. Take your bed. Oh yeah. So if you ask me, and this is the reason why I did those shows on Rapture. Um, if this isn't the tribulations, I have no idea what they're talking about because I was telling somebody the other day. I said, if God showed me in 2006, now to 2023, of course I believe God, but I would have no words to describe what a non-binary is or the things that are going on in New York City. You can't even comprehend. Okay, what's going on the island. Okay, what's going on in the state parks in New York State. Crime, I will not kill any human being, okay, out of property. Won't happen. Will not happen, okay? Ever. But I will protect my wife. That's God entrusted that to me, okay? When I took my oath in front of people, men, women, and him when I married my wife, I made that betrothal to protect her. Right? This guy, even though he is such well, no, I think the wolf will come out if somebody tries to hurt my wife because you know where your bread and butter comes from. Yes, he does. And when my wife cooks chicken and other kinds of food, he just sits there so politely on the kitchen floor and waits, and she just throws stuff at him, and they don't only hit the kitchen floor. You just hear this mouth. Anyway, hold on a second. You want another one? Here. So, um, why am I saying this? Because the Second Amendment is the Bill of Rights is our God given right to protect ourselves. Okay. Thou shalt not murder. Okay. Which means if this person is running and he's leaving my house, I'm not going to shoot him in the back. He's got other problems. Okay. I'll, I'm not, I'll shoot him if he's going to harm anybody else or a child or something like that. Again, I'm not, if I'm able to stop it, I'm not going to allow that to happen. I can't. I can't live with myself. I no. That's gonna be stopped. And I'm sure that all you here will do everything in your power to prevent that kind of thing from happening as well. Okay. Um, oh yes, I'm going to call on Jesus at the moment and everything else. But the satanic influences that are so bold faced now that they are not hiding it, the spiritual cooking in the Ukraine and everything else, the uh, type of crap that's going on in our churches, um, it's written. This is all prophesized. So it should not be a surprise to us. I mean, we've known since 1947 we're in the end times. Now, something else that you should know, okay, and that we had minor. I mean, we're talking about KP6, KP7. Those are minor CME storms. And yet, there has been sightings of red auroras down to Arizona and other latitudes in Europe. I would put our magnetic field down to 70%, if not less. And that's a conservative estimate that we've seen at least a 30% drop in our field strength since 1859 when it was at 100%. So when they say to you, oh, it's going to take 100 and something years for it to flip, it's been accelerating over the late last decade. There is no question it's flipping. And there's no question that the Southern anomaly now is huge. They just lost, SpaceX just lost over 150 Starlink satellites due to the last CME. which is it's funny, but it's becoming like my uh, friend Ben Davison says, a canary in the coal mines as far as the flip. So, and that's not even like a I can't even comprehend because we're going to get hit with it, a KP 100 event or greater. Okay. And there are signs in rocks and other things, and even in trees, um, that we've gotten hit with KP 1000 events. Uh, Again, yes, exactly. What a red auroras. Okay, so if you've ever gone to a diner or a store and you've seen a neon sign, you will see in that neon sign, you'll see gases that glow specific. And if you've ever looked at it, you can actually see that's a plasma. Okay. And that plasma is the most common state of matter. Um, that is because it's a charged particle that's been stripped, its ions. And that state is caused by electrical current flowing through it. Okay. So it excites it just like it does in the tube. And there is no difference. The color that it makes depends on the specific altitude, right? You have different altitudes by which it's penetrating. So there's just like if you've ever seen an unshaken bottle of Italian dressing, for example, you'll see that there's different layers, and that has to do with um, the buoyancy. There's no difference between the water fluid, and materials of it, and different fluids such as alcohol or oil and things like this, or mercury, for example. Um, they all have that different. So it's the same thing with gases. You have nitrogen, which comes out as a green. You have oxygen, which is going to come out as a purple. Um, you have different gases that express themselves when they get into an excited state. And when they reverberate to the ground state, they put out a specific wavelength of color. You might remember this from high school chemistry. Um, that they used to show. They used to give you a little thing, and they had these boxes with these tubes that were filled with different gases, and you would look to see what the diffractional grading was. That's how they can use telescopes to measure the specific elements and what's going on with different reflections of stars and everything else. Even our sun has a specific signature that it comes out with. If you go up north, you'll see the auroras almost nightly because in the higher latitudes, the fields are coming into the earth like this. But when the field is weaker and it's being pressed, these arches, as these arches break, they expel a charge into the upper atmosphere, and that's what causes the color. Hope I explained that, Lynn McCabe. Some people, can say it's a warning sign, whatever. All these things happening at the same time, of course, they're going to cause tremendous tectonic events as this because our Earth is a big dynamo, so it's going to affect. Um, yeah, so you're going to see any place that has tectonics and movements that hasn't moved in a while, like north of LA. There's a mountain range. It's kind of locked up. It's everything else is moving and it's just sitting there. It's it's waiting for that specific quartz to break. And when it does, it'll be probably an 8.5, maybe an 8.7. Uh it'll just go from there, and it's not that's not an if, that's unfortunately a when. When the sun hits us with another kind of Carrington event, again, not an if, when. Uh, but it's amazing. I did a show. It's on my channel. It's still here. It's on my channel. I did a radio interview about EMPs and CMEs, and there I went into the whole thing of what can happen, and there is a threat right now for an EMP to be launched, whether it would be a Foxtrot event or a real event or a coordinated attack on our substations. It doesn't even have to be an EMP. And I went into this in great detail. Look in my videos for that. Uh, that's a long chat. It's a radio interview, and even though it was, I don't know, at least 6 years ago when I did that, it I went into great detail as far as what would happen. And think about it, because you won't have even a minor event, you won't have power with probably a year. And I don't know about you, but I didn't have power for during Sandy and Irene. Irene was worse, believe it or not. I didn't have power for Irene for almost 6, 7 weeks. Now, of course, I had a whole house generator, and my wife was busy making ice and giving away to people and everything else. I think that I sold many of the systems, whole house generators I saw during Sandy, because there were other men and even a few women who our generator, our light, everything was running. It's not loud. It's no louder than a car running at about 1,000 RPMs, and so it's not loud at all. I have a video of that also, my generator on my channel, and it runs on natural gas. I was afraid that the natural gas would be terminated and cut off. Since then, of course, I also for my project, I have a 150 amp um, diesel generator. Okay, big, and it has three of those ports, huge. Um, and I have an auxiliary. I don't know, another 70 gallons of diesel. So I'm more than ready. Okay, but that really is for my other photon computer project. It supplies power to my huge UPS system. Huge. Okay, it's a huge unit. uh, so um, yeah, you need that kind of purity. The power has to be. I mean, the power that comes out from the UPS is 0.0025 THD, which means the cycles are set by a quartz crystal. It's like ultrally pure water of power for the stuff that I'm doing. And having it run on a separate generator because of the amperage. Um, there's there's no other load on that system, so there's no ground flux or anything like that from anything in the house, including even a light bulb turning on. So it's just all the output is given to um, that UPS for this machine I'm building. Um, no, no, no. The eruption, that's a underwater volcano. That's totally different. The EMP is electromagnetic pulse. Um, During Operation um, Overlord, Overlord. I don't know. There's so many operations. This was in 1962. The DoD decided they want. That's when really STI started. The idea was to launch a small nuclear device up into the ionosphere and to create a barrier to which that would disrupt other missiles if they ballistic missiles. Uh, it did not work. It had disastrous effects. It knocked out power in places of New Zealand, French Polynesia, and Hawaii. Um, yeah, the radiation increased in the Van Allen belt and all that kind of stuff. But the big thing was that they discovered the electromagnetic pulse, which they really knew existed before. But you have to realize that the Trinity site and these other things were, you know, set up with some really old analog instruments that really were not fast enough to designate the type of thing and to be effective. Not the case today. Most of our substations and everything else are controlled by SDRs. Um, that and that makes them extremely vulnerable to not only computer hacking but an EMP. An EMP would take out, would generate basically anywhere between 40 to 50 gauges with a wire that's about that big. What does that mean? When you have how electricity really works is that you have a magnet either rotating or a field rotating or something like that. And how a magnet works with electricity is that it's like a straw with a bunch of BBs in it. And picture the BBs of being as being electrons, and you're taking your fingers and you're pinching that straw, and then you're just moving it down like that. That's what that magnetic field does. Okay, it literally pushes those electrons. That's called the induction or inducement. Okay, and by doing that, it creates a flow, which is a current. What you're doing is you're creating a DC current because that's electrons going one way instead of alternating current, which is what we run on. That's the vibration of these electrons. They're not really moving. What they're doing is they're knocking into each other and they're going back and forth. Okay, that's alternating current. DC current's like what you have in your car and your battery and stuff like that because it's a chemical process that's pushing electrons through the circuit. Okay. Well, that's what this does. This pushes electrons through what's the circuit? The ground. Okay. And anything around it, okay, is becomes any wire, anything that has a conductor. Okay. An EMP would harm, it could possibly fry your laptop, it could possibly fry the computer in your car, it could possibly do all those things, okay? And obviously take out the electrical grid. Um, a CME, that's a coronal mass ejection, is so huge and such is the wavelength of it, the magnet, as these magnetic fields collapse from being pushed by the storm, it um, it will again induce a tremendous magnetic field to which that if your laptop is not plugged in, it'd probably be okay. Same thing with your phone and stuff like that. But the network to where you the Wi-Fi, all that stuff, no, won't exist. There'll be no internet. There'll be no electricity. There'll be no so whatever data you have on that device or um, you can attach to, it'll work in a CME, but it will not work after an EMP. An EMP, the wavelength is going to be that much smaller, and because of which, it's going to destroy chips, computer chips specifically, and because they can't. Now, biologically, it's not good. Well, if you have a pacemaker, not good. If you have a CPAP machine, not good. Um, Now you can protect these if you knew about it. The problem is EMPs. Most likely, you're just not going to know about it. They You could protect them by putting your devices in your microwave. Don't turn the microwave on, or a garbage pail lined with cardboard, a metal pail. Put the lid on, lined with cardboard, but the lid makes a contact. That's called a Faraday cage. Ground that, okay? Hook up a grounding rod to it. That'll protect the devices in there from anything. But again, you have to have a way to generate and make power. Now, everybody says, well, a solar panel, whatever. A solar panel will not be fried by an EMP. A solar panel will not be fried by a CME. The inverters will, okay, which means to take that DC voltage and turn it into alternating current, which is what we run on, that will be disabled because why? It has chips. Um, Only old generators like Tesla pancake coils, old components, things like this, which are just, they're just, they're inefficient in some respects, but they're old and you know, they'll work. And right, the problem is that everything won't work, and that's that's the whole thing. Now, will the propane refrigerator? Oh, Daniel Mule asks, "What about a propane refrigerator?" Propane refrigerator will obviously will work. Why? Um, well, they work on these 1 pound cylinders, or you get the adapter. You can run it on anything. I have one on my boat. I have one obviously in my RV. How they work is they use ammonia and water, and they heat up in what's known as called a generator. The ammonia and water solution boil, and they boil at different temperatures, and that steam goes up, and it goes through a condensing process, and then that pressure is then relieved, and what it does is it gets cold, and it's a physical thing. There's that the only moving part in those refrigerators is a little BB. I mean, a little. It's about 2 millimeters in size, and it fluctuates. If you put a stethoscope on it, you can actually hear it. Um, that's it. And so depends on. It needs to be level, and you have to have some form of heat. Doesn't have to be propane. It could be anything. That's why those units run on three sources of energy: either propane. Um, the one I have runs on DC and AC. But as of, I don't know, the past 13 years, they've only been making them with propane and AC. So the heating element being and mine, it has three heating elements. It has and same thing with my boat. On my boat, it runs on DC, AC, and or propane. Yeah, exactly right. The and that's small compared to what's going to happen off the coast of California, all the way up to British Columbia. They have signs that this has happened many, many times before, to which they found sand miles and miles inland. They estimate that the wave that had to do that was 600 feet high. Well, look who lives, Terry, who lives out there. Okay, they, you know, the I have the other thing is I have a lot of DC generators. I mean, I, I have DC welders. I have a lot of stuff. Like in my van, I have a refrigerator, freezer, and I'm gonna answer this and see who it is. I have been getting spam like you cannot believe. Yeah. Well, look, my younger son has uh, an apartment in LA. He has offices in LA. He has a car in LA. He has a house in Dallas, and he has three cars in Dallas, offices in Dallas. And he's back and forth all the time. I I'm not saying I don't. I would. I'd be lying to you if I said that I don't worry about his welfare. I do, because you know that only God knows, right? What if there's a bad solar storm? We're gonna have a good, even minimally, even the fastest storms don't get here, say 14 hours. So you'll have that type of warning. EMP, no. AMP can be, there won't be any warning. The only safe zone I have that I have access to is, I've shown you guys my house in Vermont. That's it. I when there's food, there's fish, 24/7 of water year round. I have ways of producing electricity in a manner of ways up there. I have appliances that run on that electricity. I have tools that run on that electricity. I have food, probably enough food for 2.5 years, but more. I'm going up there next week. But the thing is, I have, this game. There's ways to access the game. There's everything from crossbows to guns to um, flintlock guns. I have, believe it or not, where like I like old stuff. It's hanging on the wall. You look at it, you look at the history of it, and it's fascinating to me. So there's a lot up there, even though I know that no, unfortunately, Ohio's not safe. My cousin lives in Ohio. The first safety is, of course, being born again and with Jesus. Yes, on my mountain there is a hotel, Sun Lodge, and you can all come. There is it's a skiing. I ski and ski out. There's plenty of room up there. I mean, that's where he stayed for years before we could afford the house. It's there. It's rough. I'm not gonna tell you it's not rough. I mean, I've been up there. Oh, there's tons of fishing. I've been up there in the winter times. Okay, now I want to, but these winters will be a fantastic offense because I've had it snow 10 feet overnight. I'm not kidding, 10 feet overnight, to which that we could not get out our front door. My boys had to open up the back and jump off the deck into the snowbank with shovels to be able to dig ourselves out from the front end. My family goes back up there. There's actual street named after us. So, uh, uh, Ball Brothers, actually built a huge pond and dam and used it for power to cut wood, and the wood that they couldn't use for lumber they made into firewood. One brother was selling the lumber while the other brother was selling the firewood. So it's neat when I'm in a house that was of 1670 whatever, and I see the work and the wood, old growth, no knots, and insane wood, and it's kind of neat. Yes. The problem with a lot of those limestone caves, I would not want to be in the earth. There's a cave very close to where I live in Vermont. There's a there is a bear den that I don't want to go into because I think some kind of cat took it over from the bear. But the point is that it's big enough to go in, and it's not even, oh, I don't know, I would say 200 feet from my door. And but it used to be a big bear used to have her cubs in there and hibernate in there, and it's right into the mountain. And there are other caves in the mountain. My house is kind of partially like that because it's a three-story house, and what happens is that it because it's built into the actual dirt, this concrete and everything, one whole floor on this side of it it's in the ground. Um, it The basement literally opens up to a ground level versus the top is in the mid level. This is kind of interesting. Um, if you look at my Odyssey page, I think those videos are still in existence there. I had they deleted a lot of stuff on my own channel. Bull Judge. That was my great, I'm on my greats. Back in 1845, that great grandfather invented that, and yeah, but my cousins sold it, just like they sold a family. Really, it was a family farm that was from my father's my father's brother was the last one alive, so he and though his kids sold it. It was 780 acres in a Shenandoah Valley right next to a lake. We you know, I still use ball jars now. It's owned by a Japanese company. Oh yeah. Ugh. Ah. So yes, there's the so-called crap is hitting the fan. It's I'm worried about a foxtrot again from my all my intel sources. That's what they use. That's what they did during Niner um Uno Uno. And they wonderfully passed in legislation then. So I do not this is the thing that I'm worried about. I'm worried about the fact that they don't have any worry of losing power, losing political power, losing power, and they're doing everything I mean, they saying that Mar-a-Lago, the judge says here in New York that it's only worth 18 million. There's a house that's only 5 acres across the street that if you go to Zillow, it's $145 million. Oh, yes, it has Mar-a-Lago estimated at 29. I mean, hmm, yeah, you can see the forces on that, right? So that's just ludicrous. So when Trump lists it as, $300 million, considering his acreage and everything else and his improvements and the square footage of the place and everything else, I I have no idea, but fine, you know. It's like how do you put a price tag on the Trump Tower in New York? I mean, so and then these people, of course, that dropped the same time other information came out about Joe Biden and emails with money that was going into his direct account in Delaware, not where his son was in California. And then we have people saying, well, there's still not enough evidence. Well, let's talk about Trump. This is why I was for DeSantis because they're just not gonna let it anything. They're gonna just pull out all the stops, and it's gonna be continuous. And because 24/7, you have every single media outlet, it's all the time. So it's telling America, old people, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Meanwhile, if even 1/100th was true about Trump's sons, forget about it. It'd be day and night and day, all over the place. Nobody's talking about the top secret stuff. Nobody's talking about the huge increase in China over the past 10 years, and how did they make such an acceleration in their technology? It took us 40 years to develop this stuff, and they did it in 5. Huh. Yeah, easy to do. Soviets learned this very well by stealing the first atomic bomb. So what did they do? They said, the Americans spent all this money researching this, cheaper to pay people to spy. And that's where the KGB was it's a cost benefit analysis. They're like, we could do this, but the reality is it's cheaper for us to, and it's easier in a society like us. It's easier, and that's what they did. They developed spies. I mean, I talked about the last show I did. I talked about what we had to go through to do specific SAP projects, and that's because we knew the Department of Defense actually knew that there was at least one Soviet agent working on our factory floor, and that it was better to keep him there, feeding him false information, letting him do certain things, than, and we did this. And I think I can tell you for a fact that it stumbled a lot of their things because we literally put into production two specific um, circuit board productions that were wrong, that had errors on them, and he took pictures. I know this because we had hidden cameras, and that was part of the plan, part of the value. Oh, when we went and everything, the whole bit. Meanwhile, they went to it. They were shipped out. Everything else went right to the trash bin. Okay, so I mean that's, I don't know if that's on my CV. I think it is, but it doesn't matter. I'm here now. So these things go on all the time, but unfortunately, there is no morals. There's no. I mean, when I used to see projects done, there was a pride, and I'm not talking about the pride that God talks about. I'm talking about the pride of doing a great job, no matter what you got paid, because your name was on this job. You were involved and you wanted to do the best you could, period. And that kind of thing I do not see today. I see it extremely rarely. I don't see it as much as I want to see it. I'm sure there's a lot of great people out there. There's a lot of talented people out there. There's a lot of great Christians out there. There's a lot of fake Christians out there. There's a lot of false stuff that's going on. There's a tremendous amount of disinformation, a tremendous amount. This channel will only tell you the truth. Whether you want to hear it or not, all I can say to you is share, like. Um, that's it. I am not monetized. I have a Patreon channel that covers some, not really, and you know, the I'd like to have more because then I could do more and I could do more. But time is money. Okay, uh, that's that's the reality of things. Vermont is it's gorgeous all year round. There is something Long Island geography is you before this insanity happened to it, it was gorgeous. Um, it's being ruined steps and degrees. It's a shame what's happening to it. I don't know who that is. Daniel Muller, B.O. Phony. I'm Plony. Mark also that I have to speak pig Latin. I was in the doghouse all summer. I don't want to do it again. So, Karen, why? Hold on a second, Max. I just want to see what this message was that was deleted. And then born again. No, I don't want. Why was that? Who's? Wow. I mean, I don't know who's doing this. I'm sorry, Janine, about that comment being. Um, I'll put the comment here. So then, Karen, if you did it, go back up and undo it. You can click that and change the status of it. I don't. I'm looking at it. Put using time. I have all the, but that's yeah. So try to undo that. Anyway, yeah, that's the most important thing, right? So in the Bible study session that we had Wednesday, I discussed chapter 3. I've been suggested to discuss um, the uh, right hand of the Father. What does that mean for the next thing? I was going to read the next chapter in John. Any suggestions? I'll do it a different chapter. Um, but today was talking about current events, and the current event is prepare. Prepare to lose power. Have a way of making power. Okay. Learn how to do it. Okay. Um, make a bug out bag. Get a bag of 10-pound bag of self light charcoal. They call it match light. I in Vermont. I have a gizmo that can take salt water and turn it into fresh. Okay, they make that too. It's called a distillery. Okay, I work on reading different types of things. I am not. I do not know of the person. So right, I know this guy. Yep, matchlight charcoal. You can buy for about oh $20 now. You can go into a Dollar General store or a party something like that, and you can get a disposable grill. And in that disposable grill, there'll be some charcoal. There'll be whatever. It's cheap. It's portable. It's wrapped. That and get a in any store. There's you can get a 10-pound bag of charcoal. Put it into your trunk of your car. Put medications. Put medical supplies. This is listed by many preppers more knowledgeable than I am, and make a bug out thing and just get ready to go and have kettle, pots and pans, different types of things, things that you don't normally need. Have them ready because if you're in a population that's greater than 3,000, you have to get away from that because you don't want to be there. Okay, you just don't. If you have time, if you don't, and you can't, and your car doesn't work or anything, just get hunker down, get to know your neighbors, get to know your church community. That's a good place to start. But really, you got to get out of where you are and you got to get to extremely high ground, at least 2,000 feet or greater. Okay. And it all depends on how far inland it is. Where I am in Vermont, I have shown you many times that valley will be where the Atlantic is going to be if there's some kind of cataclysm on that basis. But on the power basis, like I said, I have ways of making power. Right? You like the mountain of Vermont. You love the mountain. You loved your buddies, the bears. You loved them. This dog thinks that bears are just big dogs. Right, Max? You think that a bear is just a big buddy. He's black. You recognize him as black. He's a big buddy. Yeah, so that's fine. then you just have to worry about the two-legged variety that are not saved, and food, water for your pets. Water is the other big deal. So you could take. There's many ways to take water that's foul, salt, whatever, and turn it into fresh water. Many ways. And it when it's been done for thousands of years. It's not like this is some kind of secret overnight. Okay, the every single ship going back to the 1600s had stills. Okay, that used to take salt water, make fresh water. It was a commodity. Okay, and it would go bad. Okay, that's why they had grog. There's two ways to kill things in water. One is using iodine. The other is just simply having booze and just mixing the booze with the water and killing the small amount of stuff. But, you know, I mean, you can look at. I was just amazed. At my son's at the United States Naval Academy, they have a shipping museum. We're talking stuff that goes back 400 years. At first, I was amazed at all the uniforms because these adults looked like my boys when they were 8, 10, 12, 13 years old, not even 13, younger. And they were full grown men. So that's one thing. The other thing is the incredible cleverness of the technology of the time and the little idiosyncrasies that they did to do things. And like the blocks. I mean, they had blocks 4, 5, 6. Because the mechanical advantage, incredible craftsmanship, all wood, and just and they had on the boat they had a blacksmith, they had a carpenter, they had a physician, they had a gunsmith. It's just amazing. And they would they on you go to Naples and they show the tools by which they had. I mean, you could really see why these ships back then were, in a sense, as expensive as the carriers of our day today. Amazing amount of everything went into them. The lumber was just unbelievable, unbelievable amount of lumber and unbelievable amount of craftsmanship, and then the tools and the metallurgy and not to mention when they supplied these ships for sailing, the amount of food that they would carry. So amazing, amazing stuff. Unfortunately, after an EMP, after a CME, things like this, you're going to have um, basically it'll be the 18th century again as far as technology is concerned. And that's the reality. It's a huge plunge. There'll be some specific areas, some people who have things, but most will not. And unfortunately, it takes no little nothing, okay, for people to turn around and to um, take your things. So you have to find ways to defend it. I have no problem sharing my food and things with others, but they must work and do things to earn that food. They can't just lie around and do nothing when there is work to be done. Uh, and face it, most people, unfortunately, are lazy. I have not seen that with real, true Christians. They are not lazy. They are willing to do the work and they are thankful and they are grateful. And that's, but it takes, it's going to take a lot of work to live in those conditions. And that hopefully will be temporary to some whatever. I mean, I joke with my Dr. Rick Riley, he's now a doctorate, and I say to him, I said, on the third coming, third, remember, Mary, resurrection, and then the third coming. I hope to be, if he graces me with being on his flank, even he doesn't need me to cover his flank, but I would just like him, I'd like to watch Jesus, take his foot and kick some demon ass. I don't I don't think that's a sin seeing God's son do those types of things, but I would like to witness what John saw in Revelation. I don't think that's wrong. I feel that I'd be honored, very much honored. So 117. That means we've been on the air for an hour and 17 minutes. Anything else you guys want to discuss? Any question about anything specific? Why, after an EMP, your car will not work? Probably. Um, there's many wires in your car that are longer than a meter, and with an EMP, the wavelength of that, it's going to fry those ships. Unless you have a that car specifically set up and don't spend $400 on the EMP proofs of they don't work. What works is by creating a, a, a bond. Every single solitary panel and thing has to be bonded. There has to be a metal cage around them internally. And that car then has to be grounded to a grounding rod, at least 8 feet. That's the only way you're going to defeat an EMP. A CME, coronal mass ejection for the sun, I do not think it's going to affect your car per se. It will affect fuel. Everybody will be trying to get fuel and you won't be able to get it. Um, yeah, there's another way to do that. You can take a 2-liter bottle, okay, basically a 2-liter bottle, and you cut a hole in the bottom of it to which that you still have the cups. And then you put a 1-liter bottle with you cut the top of that off and you have the salt water in that. Put that into a place where there's sun with the cap. That will create a heat that will evaporate the salt water and that water will condense on the top of the 2-liter bottle, roll down into the cups. And after a day, you'll have maybe a quarter cup of fresh water if you have good sun. Um, much more effective if you build yourself a still. You could heat the still with any kind of combustion of wood. You're going to need a fire no matter what to cook stuff because when you cook things, it kills parasites. So I advise you all to go to your local camping store and you can buy stills. Get the fresh straw that will save you from pond water and things like that. It will not work with salt water. There's other things that you can get that are available to the marine community that will be able to take salt water and turn it into fresh. I put to you that those systems will work with just about any kind of water, except if it has a petroleum or chemical distillate in it. If it's clean, either salt or biologically contaminated, you can boil that water and distill it, and you can make fine drinking water out of it. That is, there's many, many. Look at the marine community for that, because if unfortunately, if you're demasted or if you hit something or whatever and you're sailing, you have to set up a go out bag, and you have to have either a life raft system or some way of getting off. Because if you're more than 500 feet from shore, you cannot make that swim. And worse when there's no sight of land. And these things you have to think about before you have a problem. So the biggest thing is water. You must have ration packets of water, which I do have, but then you have to make your water. I I'm not saying that that wouldn't work. I'm just saying that you're limited. If you depend on the sun, you're limited. Versus a fire, you can keep going, and you have to keep it going. And it's a viable condition. You're going to have to keep it going 24/7. I assume you're on land. If you're on the water, that's a totally different thing. But if you're on land, you have to have a fire. Whether you create a Dakota or smoke pit or a Montana fire hole, what that is you dig two holes. You dig a big hole and a small hole, and the small hole meets at the bottom of the big hole, and you then put in your wood and supplies through the small hole. You start the fire, and then you put your cooking things on top. You keep it very low. You feed it. That reduces the smoke. It also increases the efficiency, and it can be put out very quickly. But also, it will heat up the ground in the area, and you can then fetch out coals out of the other thing to use them for other things as well. So you can sterilize water with rocks that are heated up. There's all kinds of things you can do. I was taught this years, years in hunting. My father wanted me to be able to survive by myself if I ever got lost. And believe me, if you say you went hunting and you never got lost, you didn't go hunting. You know, the woods are 20 feet in, you could be next to an interstate. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a rocket. That's exactly right. It's a rocket stove, but it's built into the ground. And by doing that, you create a lot of you save yourself a lot of problems. You save yourself from moving and creating a fire pit. You create yourself. It's a lot of things, and you can use it to to do all kinds of stuff. I built many of them. because that's what the old okay, boy, do it. Yeah. So it's portable, especially if you have a son. I did not make my sons do that. I never made my sons do the kind of stuff that my father made me do. I made them do things, but I always paid them. He did never paid me. He allowed me to, like, for example, if I cut the entire acre of our house, then he allowed me, if I paid for the gasoline, did the oil change, paid for that, he allowed me to take the lawnmower and make money by cutting other people's lawns, but only if I paid for it. And if I didn't do our lawn, forget he wouldn't allow me. Yes, my, my I got to show you this. We're talking full rebellion here. Um, my son, he was in the Navy for 17 and a half years. So I recently had I don't know if I can show you this. It's my son playing with his boy in his backyard. I'll try to rewind. I'll try to. I'll try to rewind it. Hold on. Uh, okay, here we go. Both both of my sons have they like the bearded brothers. Okay, the beards are like insane, and I don't know how Brooke stands it, to be to be frank and honest with you, because the yeah, I you know so it's what it is. But I understand why. Okay, and you know the kid did um is so close to his 21 years where he would get his full pension, but I certainly understand why. Yeah. So, he's gonna have to shave it off because he goes, in the reserve. He has to go to Houston and mask and everything. So that was right, like right now. So I miss those. That's a slam for me. Uh, I used to play catch with my son James, and then I played catch with Bobby, waiting for Bobby from the bus, and then I would go and I'd pick up James and then go to the high school, and James would be there, and he'd have helped me film Bobby on the football team. And then James was the water boy for that same said football team. And then, of course, the transfers. Um, so you miss all those moments, and when you reflect on them, they're having, like I said, I mean, the summers with my sons and my wife on the boat, that whole month we would take off. It wasn't the boat, it was just being and doing and the adventures and seeing. the wonder, the eyes, and the learning and teaching, and um, it was those were the best years. I'm not saying the years now aren't great. I'm just saying that you don't realize how good they are until they're not, until they're gone. And how am I doing health wise? I'm losing weight slowly. I wish I had the. I don't, everybody take the shortcut, do the thing, do the operation, blah, blah, blah. Take the, what is it? Ozempic. Yeah, no. I lost, let's see, the highest I was almost 480 pounds, 477. So now I'm I think it was the 348. Um, and I'm doing it the old fashioned way through exercise, walking, dieting. I love food. Let's get this straight. Okay? I do not. I was never a cake eater. I just love really good food, and yeah, but Donna, that's taken me. That's from 2013. So that's 10 years. It's taken me 10 years to lose 135, 40 pounds. I was actually down below 300, and then I had the COVID and then kidney stones and all kinds of stuff, and that's that's just that just sucks. Okay, yeah, that, yeah. I mean, kidney stones is the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. That's just terrible. I mean, I've broken limb, you name it, I've had it. Okay, but I mean, kidney stones is just, and then passing this piece of, and I'm not kidding. This is what and it does this. It's like passing a piece of broken glass that's about this big. Uh, you know, 2.5 millimeters, 2 millimeters, as it cuts through everything. I've seen the toughest men cry like babies, and I am one of them passing this thing to hear it hit the toilet. Oh, and the blood and everything else, and then I had I had stones, so they had to operate on 'em. They had to go in there and shoot them with lasers and break them up, and they leave this stent open from your kidney all the way through to the tip of your penis. Horrible, beyond horrible. And then when they pull it out, no, this was from, 2 prescription pills that caused this. Same thing with the gout. They the pills, it was a side effect from these drugs. I'm that guy, when they do these drug commercials on TV and you see they talk about all these horrible, I'm that guy. So in Wikipedia, it should be a picture of me as the side effects man. If there's a side effect for a drug, I get it. Okay, not the regular cheap drugs. See, this is aspirin, things like this. No, no problems. It's all these expensive concoctions that these guys try to prescribe for me. And what do? They end up causing me all kinds of medical problems and make me gain about Well, yeah, 60 pounds I gained back from my lowest weight, and it was on these stupid pills. And I cut all that crap out, and I'm feeling better, and I'm losing weight, and I'm doing things. But I'm telling you right now, the medical society, as it were, the doctors that are out there today, they don't know anything. All they know is what's in their phones. Oh, try this drug. It's like that's all they went to medical school for, is to figure out. It's just unbelievable. So I I believe in non processed food. The less processing, the better. The more wild, the better. And the less, the more you do it naturally, the better. I love fish. I'm gonna have fish tonight, and I haven't had lunch. I ate 2 eggs for breakfast, one piece of bread, and Vermont sausage. A thing of, I that's it. That's all I had for breakfast, and I that's all I've had all day. So soon my wife will be here, and we will go, and we're going to have. I don't know what kind of fish, but we'll have some kind of fish today. Last week we had the best, and I'm not kidding, the best scallops we've ever had in our lives. It was on this risotto and came with this broccoli and garlic, and it was fantastic. It was 4 scallops. Fantastic. Great. Really good. Excellent. And like I said, the best dish ever that I've ever had. And are there any questions? I want you guys to be careful. Be careful of where you get your news from. I will try to give you a report immediately. I'll go on my phone, my iPad, whatever it takes, if I learn of something that is critical, important for you to do something about it and for you to take action. Um, yeah, this is what I'm saying. Why I'm saying this. I think it's going to be, if anything, you have to remember something straight off. And this is the most important thing to remember. This is a fallen world. Things do not happen here without God's permission. But God gives a lot of permission, especially those who are. I would see I'm not God. I'm saying I'm not God. I'm not God. I'm not God. But I can understand him being extremely pissed off right now. Just saying. So I can see where a foxtrot can happen. I can see where other events can happen. I can see that the Delta Echo Mike Sierra don't want to lose their power, and thus, what do they gain by chaos? They gain all kinds of, and especially if you can't talk. So, why am I? One of the reasons why I'm saying this today, so I'm saying to you very simply, prepare. You will lose everything if it happens. everything. You will lose electricity, you'll lose your internet, you'll lose your cell phone, you'll lose everything. Don't be sitting around, what? What's happening? What is it a what? No. Don't worry about what it is. Instead, worry about what you're going to do and execute that plan. Whatever that plan is, have a plan, execute it. It can be the matter of life and death. And the life that you save, it could be your own, but moreover, it can be others. For as long as I am breathing, I don't know about you, but I'm going to do my best to share the word and my best to save others as much as I possibly can. And I'm not saving them. I'm just bringing the word of love to them. I'm telling them the bridge is out. You have to go through this person. Other than that, the material stuff you will find out is meaningless. Everybody's like, oh, that's because you're having a look. I have been 44 years ago. I was living out of my car. I had my sister and mother steal my money. And they were stealing it continuously. I had no idea that they did this, but they were doing it. And yeah, what did that do for me? A month living in that type of condition. I had to park underneath I-95 so that my feet wouldn't get wet. I had to figure out how to survive. I had to make a plan. And then I found out what the important things were. And right then and there, I realized that my knowledge, as my father said many times, and I didn't believe him, but then I did after that, you don't have to carry it. It has no weight. If you understand something, you can always understand it. You don't have to remember it. You understand it. That's everything. And then you never take anything for granted. And you say, okay, I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to make that mistake of putting everything in one basket when really it was no different than gambling. I do not gamble. Everyone's like, oh, you go to a casino, whatever. Yes, I do. I don't gamble. I use a specific set of mathematics, period. Okay. And if I do not have advantage play, I don't play. It's simple. And it's mathematics. It's a numbers game. That's it. So that's why you won't see me at a craps table, something like that. I don't gamble. And now, if I spot at a craps table, I have played it a couple times. When I spotted, what did I spot? I spotted somebody who was a dice controller. So I immediately saw that what they were doing. What did I do? And I didn't do it for. I think the total amount of time I've played maybe is less than 35, 40 minutes ever, my entire life. Versus, you know, blackjack. Pff. I mean, when I was, I mean, I mean, in the end of July, I was trying to win a car for my son. I only won $5,000. I didn't win the car. I won $5,000, but I did. It's not like I wanted the car. Okay, I didn't win the car. I just won money. I still need to win him a car. Long. He's still driving the car from 2005. He's extremely frugal and he he's a great father and he's proud. So I won my younger son a car. I want to win this guy a car. So that's what I'm working towards. W- that's yeah. I did it before. I won TVs, cars. I'm gonna do it again. So yeah. Could be my wife. My wife could win it. I don't know. She's extremely good. Again, she's an advantage, but she works at 101.5%. So for every $100 she spends playing video poker, she wins $1.50. That's the way it works. She plays perfect. I can't play video poker perfect. She can do it. I can't. I can play blackjack perfectly. And yeah, that's way easier. Well, well, things to, you know, but she plays that perfectly. So that's her that's her thing. Um, at the casino that I go to, they have car giveaways. So you have I'm a black diamond player, so I get 5 times entries into winning that car for every ticket I get, and you get one ticket entry for every $100 you play. So like the last time they were having it, I I get rooms there for free. So I got a room Thursday. Um and the thing opened up at 8 o'clock. So I was there at 8 o'clock AM and I played all day. My wife came all day. And like I said, I only won money. I didn't win the car. And I had, oh my gosh, oh, I don't know, 35,000 entries, something like that for this car. But I wasn't the only one. It's a big casino and a lot of people. So I was very happy for the other person who won it. I don't sit there with the slot machine. I mean, there was a guy there won 21 million. No, woman won $21 million. Guy won $24,000. Yeah. So it's great. Happy for them, whatever. The state with whatever my governor's name is, she just taxed it additionally 10%. So now, right away, they took 43% out of those winnings immediately. There's an actual IRS guy there, which I didn't think was the right thing to do at all, but they did it. He's got over 300 and something thousand miles, and his interior is literally coming down, and his air conditioner is it was always weak because it's hybrid, but his air conditioner is weak for the Texas environment that he's in now. So I offered him a brand new car a couple times when he graduated the academy, when he got his wings, when he wanted the money. So I yeah, that's the way he is. So he's still driving that. I mean, it doesn't owe him a dollar. I mean, it doesn't owe him. I mean, it was a gift already, but that was a high school graduation present. But he's all through the academy, all through what I mean. He's yeah. I mean, well, and it's a great car. I mean, they put over 1,000,000 miles on those cars and as taxis in New York City. That specific model. So it has an Atkins engine. It's a three-cylinder engine with this, rare earth magnet, electric drive, hybrid drive thing. It's essentially indestructible. I mean, he's gone through. I don't even know how many tires. 10 sets of tires, something like that. Normal stuff. But the last time I was in it, he had a gorilla tape holding the interior together because the the contact cement that holds your normal interior was falling apart. The boy needs a new car. Okay, I mean my other guy. I have I. I'm not kidding. I think that kid, since I won him that car, he's been through like 14 cars. Yeah. Uh yeah. So and now he owns 4 cars in 2 states. Two, but you know that that's you know he's really only. I mean, not even I mean, yeah, Bobby could do it. I mean, Bobby can do anything with it. But I mean, James, before I made all the modifications to my van and made it um handle better, drive better, things like that. James was like the only real other person who could drive that van. He actually learned on that how to drive on that thing. So he can drive, anything. I mean, he's taken the special assault driving things and race car driving and all kinds of, in his um, business that he does. That's what he, it's part of. So, yeah, I mean, to Bobby, it's a transportation thing. It's not, you know, Bobby wants to fly all the time. I understand. I used to, have that thing. I remember what that was like. It's and in places like Florida where I did a lot of flying. Um, you know, eh, it's nice. I'm not gonna tell you it's not nice. Versus driving is long and tedious, and flying. I mean, you can get in a plane and fly anywhere you want. I mean, it's kind of nice. Anyway, is there anything else? I want you guys to have a nice weekend, but I want you to be aware. I will, if I can, I will try to uh, let you know anything I can know. I'll let you know. I guess what I'll have to do is again to my Patreon people. I'm going to leave explicit instructions on my Patreon. My Patreon site, I have other ways of getting it to it. With that, you get my number, my phone number. With that, you get my email. With that, you get all kinds of things. And it's as little as $1 a month if you can get into that slot, or but I'm telling you right now, it's worth it. And it helps me out a tremendous deal. But the big thing is that allows me to communicate with you guys directly. Okay, so Max, you want to say goodbye to them? Goodbye to them. Woo! 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 You're saying goodbye to them. Yes. We're gonna have a nice weekend, Max. It's gonna be sunny tomorrow. We're gonna be able to go to watch this, watch. We'll be able to do a dog park tomorrow. You want to go to the dog park tomorrow? Yes. You want the dog park? All right. Let me shut this down. God bless everybody. Remember, Jesus is your savior. He died for your sins.